Italian migration has added a rich and colourful chapter to Australian history. Today, they are one of the largest groups of older overseas-born people living in Australia. The first Italians arrived as missionaries and political refugees in the 1840s. Many more came to seek their fortunes after the discovery of gold in the following decade. The first wave of family migration to settle outside Italy began in 1882, when 50 families settled in northern New South Wales. Then, in the 1890s, Italians replaced the South Sea Islanders on the cane fields in northern Queensland. Migration began providing a serious boost to Australian numbers after World War II. Migration from Italy rose from 33,000 in 1947 to 289,000 in 1971. Many came from the economically distressed regions of Sicily, Calabria, Veneto and Campania. With high post-war unemployment, the Italian government encouraged its citizens to migrate, to migliorare la vita, to better their life. Under the government's Populate or Perish migration program, Australia opened its doors to European immigrants for the first time. The process of getting families here was called chain migration. This usually involved a male coming to Australia first and getting established in work. He would then sponsor the passage of parents, wives, children, siblings, and people from the same town. This process often separated families for several years. Most of these new migrants were from southern Italy, who had worked on farms from a very young age. Others were skilled tradesmen who possessed a wealth of practical knowledge. They found work first alongside other Italians as farmers, labourers and process workers in factories. In Queensland, they worked on cane, banana and tobacco farms. The Snowy Mountains hydroelectric scheme employed thousands of Italians to help build its dams and tunnels. In the cities, Italians established family businesses, running restaurants and setting up small shops as greengrocers, bakers and delicatessens. Working together in established communities meant they could support each other linguistically, economically, socially and emotionally. To maintain their important links with Italy, they met this challenge by setting up many Italian clubs to preserve their language and culture. Along with all the issues of getting on in their new country, Italians had to understand English before they could be truly included as Aussies. Many spoke their local dialect first, and due to limited schooling, had low levels of Italian literacy. English classes weren't readily available in the early days, so for adults, learning a second language wasn't easy. During the 70s, the level of migration decreased. The need for Italian workers to emigrate in order to be able to feed and clothe their families was being replaced by migrations at a different level. Formally educated and professionally qualified Italians started coming here to broaden their experiences and enrich their lives. These migrants were instrumental in providing the legal, social and employment rights of Italians living in Australia. Today in Queensland, particularly in the north, most of the older immigrants are of Italian origin. As more and more of these older Italians need care, so too does the need for home care workers to understand them and their needs. Care providers should be mindful of the homesickness, loneliness and isolation some may have experienced and still feel as a result of migration long ago. Home care workers have to appreciate some people's deep-seated feelings that make it hard for them to seek support outside the family. Older Italians are intensely proud of the achievements made for their families. They value their independence, privacy, resourcefulness, and are understandably reluctant to seek help with anything. Having come from deep economic disadvantage, financial security is vital to them and their family's future. It's very important to clearly explain what the costs are, what services will be provided, and how much will be subsidised by the government. To provide culturally appropriate care at all stages, home care workers need to recognise and respect all the deeply felt cultural values of Italian clients.